Admiral Kethvar's four eyes tracked the holographic display with growing unease. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled this sector of the galaxy for 3,000 years, their blue-scaled forms commanding respect across 47 star systems. Never in his century of service had he witnessed anything like what hung suspended in the void before their fleet. "Scan it again," he ordered, his voice carrying the authority that had crushed rebellions and conquered worlds. "Sir, we've run the sensors 12 times," reported Lieutenant Zixra, her younger scales rippling with nervous energy. "The vessel registers as unknown class, unknown origin. Material composition doesn't match any civilization in our databases." The thing was massive, easily twice the size of their flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Its hull gleamed with an odd metallic finish that seemed to absorb and reflect light in patterns their sensors couldn't analyze. No visible weapons, no energy signatures they recognized, no communication attempts. "Distance?" Kethvar demanded. 2 million kilometers and... Wait. Zixra's scales paled to a sickly yellow. "Sir, it's moving." The Admiral's blood chilled as he watched the readings. The unknown vessel had been stationary for the past 6 hours since their arrival. Now, without any visible propulsion system activating, it was accelerating. Speed: 0.01 light speed and climbing, 0.02, 0.05. Zixra's voice climbed with each reading. "Sir, this is impossible. No ship accelerates this smoothly without massive engine discharge." Kethvar had seen the fastest ships in the galaxy. The Zephyrian Navy prided itself on vessels that could reach 1/3 light speed, with their most advanced drives. This thing was approaching those speeds like it was taking a casual stroll. "Engineering, can we match its acceleration?" Chief Engineer Mortak's gravelly voice crackled through the comm. "Not even close, Admiral. We'd need to overload our cores to reach half that speed, and we'd burn out in minutes." The unknown vessel continued its smooth acceleration. 0.1 light speed, 0.2. The physics made no sense. At these speeds, without proper shielding, any crew should be crushed into paste by the G-forces. "Where is it heading?" Kethvar asked, though he suspected he already knew. "Direct course for Zephyr Prime," Zixra confirmed. "At current acceleration, it will reach our homeworld in 18 hours. The Admiral's mind raced. 18 hours to cross 12 light-years. That kind of speed was beyond anything in known space. The Zephyrian Empire had encountered dozens of alien species over the millennia. Some had been primitive, easily conquered. Others had been advanced, requiring careful diplomacy or strategic warfare. But none had demonstrated technology this far beyond their understanding. "Sir," called Communications Officer Velian, "should I send a fleet-wide alert?" Kethvar considered. His battle group consisted of 47 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts and the pride of the fleet, the Eternal Dominion. Against any known enemy, they represented overwhelming force. Against this unknown entity traveling at impossible speeds, they might as well be throwing rocks. "Send a message to High Command. Priority 1. Unknown vessel. Clearly hostile intent, heading for the homeworld at unprecedented velocity." "Sir, how can you be certain it's hostile?" Zixra asked. "It hasn't fired on us or responded to our hails." "Because," Kethvar said grimly, "it appeared at the edge of our territory without warning, ignores all attempts at communication, and is now racing toward our capital world at speeds that should be impossible. In my experience, Lieutenant, peaceful visitors don't act like this." The display showed the vessel continuing its acceleration. 0.3 light speed now, still climbing with that terrifying smoothness. No engine flares, no energy spikes, no signs of strain on whatever propulsion system it used. "Sir, I'm detecting something else," reported sensor technician Kiltos. "The vessel is scanning us." "What kind of scans?" "Unknown type. The energy pattern doesn't match anything in our databases. It's comprehensive, like it's examining every bolt and wire in our ships." A chill ran down Kethvar's spine. First the impossible speed. Now scanning technology they couldn't identify or understand. Whatever civilization had built this ship operated on a level of technology that made the mighty Zephyrian Empire look primitive. "Admiral," Velian called urgently, "High Command is ordering the fleet to intercept and detain the unknown vessel." Kethvar almost laughed. "Intercept a ship moving at 0.3 light speed and accelerating with what?" Their fastest pursuit vessels couldn't even match its current velocity, let alone catch up. "Tell High Command that interception is impossible given the vessel's speed. We will attempt to follow at maximum sustainable velocity." "Sir." Chief Engineer Mortak reports that our engines can sustain 0.1 light speed for perhaps 6 hours before requiring cooldown. 6 hours to chase something that would be long gone. Kethvar had never felt so helpless. The empire that had conquered worlds and subjugated species was being effortlessly outmaneuvered by a single ship. The unknown vessel reached .4 light speed. Still no sign of slowing or strain. Whatever drove it operated beyond the known laws of physics, or at least beyond their understanding of those laws. "Sir," Zixra said quietly, "what if this isn't just one ship?" The question hung in the air like a poison cloud. If this vessel represented the advanced scout of a larger force, if an entire civilization possessed technology this advanced, then the Zephyrian Empire faced its first existential threat in 3 millennia. "Continue monitoring and recording everything," Kethvar ordered. "Every energy signature, every movement pattern, every scanning pulse. If we can't stop this thing, at least we can learn from it." The unknown vessel disappeared into hyperspace with the same casual ease it had demonstrated throughout its brief visit. One moment it was there, accelerating past half-light speed, the next it simply wasn't. No hyperspace window, no energy buildup, no transition period. It just vanished. "Time to Zephyr Prime?" Kethvar asked. 14 hours, sir. Maybe less if it can maintain that speed in hyperspace. 14 hours for the Empire to prepare for something they didn't understand, couldn't match, and had no idea how to fight. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Kethvar wondered if the Zephyrian Empire was about to discover what it felt like to be on the receiving end of overwhelming technological superiority. The Zephyrian High Council chamber buzzed with tension as Emperor Vashitar received Admiral Kethvar's report. The massive crystalline structure at the heart of Zephyr Prime had witnessed 3,000 years of imperial decision-making, but never had the Council faced news quite like this. "Impossible speeds, you say?" Emperor Vashitar's deep voice echoed through the chamber. His ancient scales, darkened with age and authority, rippled with controlled anger. Admiral Kethvar has served faithfully for decades. He doesn't exaggerate. Defense Minister Ralkan, whose military strategies had conquered the Helix Nebula, found himself struggling for words. "Your Majesty, if these readings are accurate, we face technology centuries ahead of our own, perhaps millennia." The Emperor's 6 advisors, each representing different aspects of imperial governance, exchanged worried glances. Trade Minister Yeltara spoke first. "Sire, we should consider that this might be a peaceful contact. Perhaps they're simply enthusiastic diplomats?" General Baxmore, the Empire's supreme military commander, made a dismissive gesture. "Peaceful diplomats don't ignore communication attempts and race toward capital worlds at impossible speeds. This has all the hallmarks of a reconnaissance mission." Through the chamber's massive windows, the sprawling metropolis of New Zephyria stretched to the horizon. Billions of citizens went about their daily lives unaware that an unknown threat was racing toward them through hyperspace. "Current defensive status?" the Emperor demanded. "The homeworld defense fleet consists of 120 vessels, including 6 Titan-class dreadnoughts," General Baxmore reported. "Planetary shields are at full power. Orbital defense platforms are armed and ready. Against an enemy that travels at half-light speed, we don't know, Your Majesty." Emperor Vashitar had ruled for 2 centuries, guiding the Empire through wars, expansions, and technological revolutions. His experience told him that when facing the unknown, preparation meant the difference between survival and extinction. "Alert all military commanders. Begin evacuation procedures for essential government personnel. Contact our allies in the Rigel Consortium and the Altarian Federation. If this threat proves genuine, we'll need every ship we can gather." Science advisor Tolvan, whose research teams had developed the Empire's most advanced technologies, cleared his throat nervously. "Your Majesty, I've been analyzing the sensor data Admiral Kethvar transmitted. The energy signatures don't match any known propulsion system. The scanning technology appears to operate on principles we don't understand." "What are you saying exactly?" "Sire, in 30 years of studying alien technologies, I've never encountered anything this advanced. If a single ship possesses these capabilities, we must assume their entire civilization operates at a similar level." The implications hung heavy in the chamber's recycled air. The Zephyrian Empire had built its power on technological superiority. Their weapons, shields, and ships had consistently outmatched every species they'd encountered. The idea that they might now be the primitive ones was almost unthinkable. "Time until the vessel reaches our system?" the Emperor asked. 13 hours and counting, Your Majesty," General Baxmore replied grimly. Emperor Vashitar rose from his throne, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. 13 hours to prepare for the unknown. Minister Ralcon, begin mobilizing the reserve fleets. I want every available ship moving toward Zephyr Prime. Sire, that will leave our outer territories vulnerable to hegemony raids. Better to lose frontier worlds than our home world. Do it. Trade Minister Yeltara raised a tentative hand. Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider evacuation of civilian populations. To where? This vessel appeared without warning at our border. If their technology is as advanced as it appears, nowhere in the Empire is truly safe. The Emperor moved to the great windows overlooking his capital city. Skyscrapers reached toward the blue sky. Hover traffic flowed in ordered patterns, and in the distance the massive spaceports bustled with commercial activity. 3,000 years of civilization, culture, and achievement sprawled before him. Science Advisor Tulvin, what possibilities exist for communication? We've tried standard frequencies, mathematical sequences, even artistic transmissions. Whatever built this ship either doesn't understand our signals or chooses to ignore them. Or they're studying us, General Baxmore added darkly, learning our capabilities before making their move. The Emperor's communication console chimed urgently. Admiral Kethvar's image appeared, his scales showing the strain of the past few hours. Your Majesty, the unknown vessel has exited hyperspace at the edge of our system. Distance 1 light hour from Zephyr Prime. Current speed? Decelerating rapidly but still traveling at 0.2 light speed. At this rate, it will reach our planet in 5 hours. Emperor Vashitar felt the weight of 3 millennia of empire on his shoulders. Admiral, position your fleet between the vessel and Zephyr Prime. Do not engage unless directly threatened, but be prepared for anything. Understood, Your Majesty. The connection ended, leaving the council chamber in tense silence. Through the windows, the Emperor could see the first signs of public awareness. News feeds were probably already speculating about increased military activity. Soon the population would learn about the approaching threat. Minister Ralcon, prepare a public announcement. The people deserve to know what we're facing. What should we tell them, sire? The truth. An unknown vessel approaches our system with technology beyond our understanding. Our military stands ready, but we face an uncertain future. Science Advisor Tulvin approached the Emperor hesitantly. Your Majesty, there's one more possibility we should consider. What? The scanning technology this ship demonstrated was incredibly sophisticated. More advanced than anything we've seen. What if they're not here to conquer or destroy? What else could they want? What if they're here to evaluate? To determine if we're worth preserving? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Zephyrian Empire, conqueror of worlds and subjugator of species, might itself be facing judgment by being so advanced that their entire civilization was little more than an interesting specimen. Emperor Vashitar watched the sun begin to set over his capital, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Somewhere in the darkness above, an unknown ship raced toward them, carrying intentions and capabilities beyond their comprehension. 5 hours, he murmured. 5 hours to discover whether the Zephyrian Empire faces its greatest challenge or its final moment. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, watching the blue-green world of Zephyr Prime grow larger on the view screen. Her ship's artificial intelligence, Marcus, had been monitoring Zephyrian communications since they'd entered the system, and the translation programs were finally making sense of their language. They're definitely worked up about something, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson Torres, the ship's tactical officer. Multiple fleet movements, emergency broadcasts, the whole 9 yards. Sarah nodded, her dark eyes taking in the tactical display. The Endeavour was humanity's first deep space exploration vessel, equipped with experimental technology that had taken Earth's best minds 20 years to develop. The quantum drive that powered their incredible speeds was still theoretical to most human scientists, understood by perhaps a dozen people in the entire solar system. Any hostile actions directed at us? Sarah asked. Negative, Captain. Though there's a large fleet formation positioning itself between us and the planet. Looks like they're nervous but not aggressive. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the mission's xenobiologist and first contact specialist, looked up from her console. The linguistics AI has achieved 60% translation accuracy. They're calling us unknown vessel, and seem genuinely confused by our capabilities. Sarah almost smiled. The Endeavour represented humanity's first attempt at faster-than-light travel, built after analyzing wreckage from an alien probe that had crashed in the Antarctic 5 years ago. The technology was so advanced that even Earth scientists barely understood how it worked. To the Zephyrians, it must seem like magic. "What's our approach speed, navigator?" Ensign Kim Park checked her instruments. "0.08 light speed and decelerating steadily, Captain. We'll reach standard orbit in 3 hours at current rate." "Good. Let's not spook them any more than we already have." Sarah turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, see if you can establish contact. Use mathematical sequences first, then attempt their language." "Aye, Captain." The Endeavour was massive by human standards, nearly 2 kilometers long and carrying a crew of 800 scientists, engineers, and explorers. But it had been built for discovery, not conquest. Humanity had learned from their own troubled history that first contact required patience, understanding, and above all, respect for other civilizations. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez called, "I'm picking up some interesting patterns in their communications. They're definitely afraid, but there's something else. Confusion about our scanning technology." "What do you mean?" "Our passive sensors are apparently more sophisticated than anything they've encountered. They can't understand how we're gathering detailed information about their ships without using what they consider scanning beams." Sarah nodded. Human technology had developed along different paths than most alien civilizations. Where others used active scanning systems that broadcast energy, humanity had mastered passive sensor arrays that could detect and analyze the slightest electromagnetic signatures. "Captain Chen." Marcus's smooth artificial voice filled the bridge. "I've completed my analysis of Zephyrian technology and social structure. They appear to be a militaristic empire that has conquered multiple star systems. Their technology is approximately 2 centuries behind our current capabilities, but still advanced enough to be dangerous to us," Torres pointed out. "Correct. Their weapons, while primitive by our standards, could still damage the Endeavour, if used in sufficient quantities." Sarah considered their options. The Endeavour's mission was to make peaceful contact with alien civilizations, but they'd stumbled into what appeared to be a highly militaristic society that had been conquering other species for thousands of years. "Dr. Vasquez, what's your assessment of their intentions?" "Based on their communications, they view us as a potential threat. The military is mobilizing, but they haven't taken any overtly hostile actions. I think they're trying to decide whether to fight or flee." "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, "I'm receiving a transmission. It's not exactly friendly." "Put it through." The view screen shifted to show a blue-scaled alien in what was clearly military attire. His 4 eyes regarded the camera with a mixture of authority and barely controlled fear. "Unknown vessel, you are approaching Zephyrian space without authorization. Identify yourself immediately or face the consequences." Sarah stood, smoothing her uniform. First contact protocols demanded diplomacy above all else. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Endeavour. We come in peace, seeking dialogue and understanding between our species." The alien's expression shifted to what might have been surprise. "Earth? We have no record of such a world. You will halt your approach and submit to inspection." "I appreciate your caution, Admiral. I'm sorry I don't know your name. We're explorers from a distant star system. We've come a very long way to meet you, and we hope we can discuss our mutual interests peacefully." The alien conferred with someone off-screen before responding. "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. Your vessel displays technology beyond our understanding. We demand an explanation." Sarah chose her words carefully. "Admiral, our people have developed along different paths than yours. We're scientists and explorers, not conquerors. We seek knowledge and peaceful relations with other civilizations. And yet you appear in our territory with impossible speeds and scanning technology we cannot comprehend." Dr. Vasquez whispered to Sarah. "Captain, I'm detecting massive stress indicators in his voice patterns. He's terrified." Sarah realized the problem. To a military empire accustomed to technological superiority, the Endeavour must represent an existential threat. A single ship with capabilities they couldn't match might be the harbinger of invasion by an overwhelmingly superior force. "Admiral Kethvar," Sarah said gently, "I understand your concern. When we first detected alien technology, my people were also afraid. But fear doesn't have to lead to conflict. We've come here to learn about your civilization and share knowledge of our own. You speak of sharing knowledge while approaching our homeworld with weapons we cannot detect or defend against. Admiral, we carry no weapons. The statement hung in the void between ships. Sarah could see the disbelief in Kethvar's alien features. No weapons? Then how do you intend to conquer us? We don't. Admiral, humanity learned long ago that conquest brings only suffering. We're here because we believe that different civilizations working together can achieve far more than any could alone. Torres leaned close to Sarah. Captain, their fleet is moving into attack formation. Sarah made a quick decision. Admiral Kethvar, I'm going to do something to demonstrate our peaceful intentions. I'm transmitting the complete technical specifications of our propulsion and sensor systems to your ship. The bridge crew looked shocked. Giving away humanity's most advanced technology violated every security protocol. Captain, Torres whispered urgently, that's classified beyond top secret. Marcus, Sarah commanded, transmit the quantum drive schematics and sensor array specifications to the Zephyrian flagship. Transmission complete? Captain. On the view screen, Admiral Kethvar's eyes widened as his crew presumably analyzed the incoming data. This is impossible. Your propulsion system operates on principles our scientists consider theoretical at best. Admiral, my people believe that trust must be earned through actions, not words. I'm trusting you with our most advanced technology because I hope you'll trust us with your friendship. For long moments, silence stretched across the void between the two civilizations. Then Admiral Kethvar's expression shifted to something that might have been wonder. Captain Chen, I think we need to talk. Emperor Vashitar paced the length of his private chambers, his claws clicking against the polished floor. The past 12 hours had shattered everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. The technical specifications transmitted by the human ship sat on his desk like a bomb waiting to explode. Science Advisor Tolvan, he commanded as his chief scientist entered the room. Give me your analysis. Tolvan's usually steady demeanor showed cracks of amazement. Your Majesty, this changes everything. The quantum drive technology they've shared operates on principles we barely understand. According to these schematics, they can manipulate space-time itself. How long would it take our scientists to build such a drive? Assuming we could understand the underlying physics? Perhaps 50 years, maybe a century. The mathematical frameworks alone are decades ahead of our current knowledge. The Emperor stopped pacing and fixed his advisor with an intense stare. And they simply gave this to us. Yes, sire. Complete specifications, down to the molecular structure of their exotic matter containment systems. Emperor Vashitar had built his reign on careful calculation and strategic thinking. Every decision had been weighed against benefit and cost to the Empire. The human action made no sense by those standards. What kind of civilization gives away technology that could destroy them? Perhaps one that truly means what they say about peace, Your Majesty. The Emperor's communication console chimed. Admiral Kethvar's face appeared, his expression thoughtful rather than fearful now. Your Majesty, the human captain has agreed to a meeting aboard our flagship. She's willing to come with minimal escort and has proposed a cultural exchange. Cultural exchange? They want to learn about our society, our history, our achievements. In return, they're offering to share their knowledge and technology. Emperor Vashitar considered this. 3,000 years of empire had been built on taking what they needed and crushing resistance. The humans seem to operate by completely different principles. What security precautions are you taking? Full scanning, limited access, and our best diplomatic protection. However, Captain Chen has made a request that troubles me. What? She wants to tour one of our conquered worlds. She specifically asked to see how we treat subjugated populations. The Emperor's scales darkened. The Zephyrian Empire's treatment of conquered species was efficient but not gentle. Subject worlds provided resources and labor in exchange for protection and order. It was a system that had worked for millennia, but he suspected the humans might not approve. Your assessment, Admiral? Sire, these humans seem to possess not just advanced technology, but advanced moral principles. Their entire approach suggests they've evolved beyond conquest as a means of expansion. Science Advisor Tolvan cleared his throat. Your Majesty, there's something else. I've been analyzing the data from their ship. The materials, the construction techniques, even their computer systems. Everything suggests a civilization that has solved problems we're still struggling with. Such as? Energy production, environmental restoration, disease elimination, even aging. Based on what I can determine from their ship's life support systems, these humans may have achieved practical immortality. The Emperor felt a chill run through his massive frame. A civilization that had conquered death itself was beyond any threat he could imagine. And yet they came seeking friendship rather than demanding submission. "There's more, Your Majesty," Tolvin continued. "Their ship's computer system appears to be truly intelligent. Not just programmed responses, but actual artificial consciousness. They've created genuine artificial life." The implications staggered the Emperor. The humans hadn't just advanced technologically, they'd fundamentally solved challenges that the Empire's greatest minds considered impossible. Admiral Kethavar's image shifted as new information reached him. "Your Majesty, the humans have made an unexpected offer. They're willing to establish a permanent embassy here and share technological advancement programs with our scientists. What do they want in return? They've asked for permission to establish humanitarian aid stations on our subjugated worlds." There it was. The Emperor had been waiting for the humans to reveal their true intentions. They wanted to interfere with the Empire's established order: humanitarian aid, medical assistance, educational programs, infrastructure improvement. They claim they want to help improve living conditions for all species in our territory. Emperor Vashitar realized he faced a decision that would define not just his reign, but the future of the Empire itself. The humans offered technology that could advance Zephyrian civilization by centuries, but they also challenged the fundamental assumptions upon which the Empire was built. Science advisor: "What would happen if we refused their offer?" "They would likely leave peacefully, Your Majesty. But we would remain where we are technologically while they continue advancing. In time, the gap would become impossible to bridge. And if we accept, we would need to fundamentally change how the Empire operates. Their moral principles seem incompatible with our traditional methods of control." The Emperor moved to his window, gazing out at the capital city spread below. Billions of Zephyrians lived their lives in the security of imperial order. But that same order was built on the subjugation of other species and the threat of overwhelming force. "Admiral Kethavar, bring the human captain to the palace. I want to meet these beings who give away the tools of their own destruction in the hope of making friends." "Yes, Your Majesty." As the connection ended, Emperor Vashitar contemplated the bizarre turn of events. That morning he had feared for the Empire's survival. Now he faced something far more challenging: the possibility that everything the Empire represented was wrong. The humans offered advancement, but at the cost of transformation. They wanted to share their knowledge, but only if the Empire abandoned its traditional ways. It was perhaps the most profound choice any ruler had ever faced. Tolvin spoke quietly. "Your Majesty, there's one final detail from their ship's specifications." "Yes?" "The Endeavor isn't a warship. It's not even their most advanced vessel. Based on the technology level displayed, this is likely their equivalent of an exploration craft. A survey ship." The Emperor's blood chilled. If this was merely a human survey ship, what did their actual civilization look like? How many ships like this do you think they have? Based on the industrial capacity required to build this vessel? Hundreds, possibly thousands. Emperor Vashtar realized that his empire, master of 47 star systems and conqueror of dozens of species, had just been contacted by beings who could presumably build fleets of ships that individually outmatched their entire navy, and those beings wanted to be friends. The question was whether the Zephyrian Empire could accept friendship from gods. Captain Sarah Chen walked through the corridors of the Zephyrian palace, flanked by 2 human security officers and a handful of Zephyrian guards. The architecture was impressive, soaring crystalline structures that caught and refracted light in beautiful patterns. But her trained eye also noticed the subtle displays of power, the armed guards at every junction, the surveillance devices hidden in decorative alcoves, the portraits of conquered worlds lining the walls. Dr. Elena Vasquez walked beside her, quietly documenting everything with her scanner. "The cultural markers are fascinating, Captain. This is definitely an imperial system. Centralized authority, military emphasis, clear hierarchical structures. Any signs of dissent or resistance? None visible, but the social conditioning appears extensive. Everyone we've encountered shows immediate deference to authority figures." They were led into a vast chamber where Emperor Vashitar waited. Sarah had seen his image during communications, but his physical presence was imposing, nearly 3 meters tall, with dark blue scales that spoke of age and authority. His 4 eyes tracked their movement with obvious intelligence. "Captain Chen," the Emperor said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute power. "Welcome to Zephyr Prime." Sarah stepped forward and performed what her cultural briefing had identified as an appropriate greeting gesture. "Your Majesty, thank you for receiving us. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, our xenocultural specialist." "Your cultural specialist?" Dr. Vasquez studies how different civilizations develop and interact. "We found that understanding cultural differences prevents misunderstandings that can lead to conflict." Emperor Vashitar's expression suggested this was a novel concept. "Please sit. I confess I am curious about your people. Your technology suggests a civilization far in advance of our own. Yet you approach us as equals rather than subjects." Sarah chose her words carefully. "Your Majesty, we've learned that technological advancement doesn't make one civilization superior to another. Each species develops unique perspectives and solutions. We believe diversity of thought and culture makes all civilizations stronger." "An interesting philosophy. Tell me, Captain, how does your civilization maintain order across multiple worlds?" "We don't maintain order in the way you might think. Earth's various nations cooperate through voluntary agreements. Our colonial worlds are autonomous settlements that choose to remain connected to Earth for mutual benefit." The Emperor's 4 eyes widened. "You allow your colonies to govern themselves?" "Absolutely. We've found that people are most productive and creative when they have the freedom to make their own choices." Dr. Vasquez leaned forward. "Your Majesty, if I may ask, how do you manage the diverse needs of the different species within your empire?" Emperor Vashitar's expression shifted subtly. "We provide structure and security. Each world contributes according to its capabilities and receives protection in return. And if a world chooses not to contribute, that is not an option we permit." Sarah felt the temperature in the room drop metaphorically. "Your Majesty, could you explain what you mean by not permitting that choice? Resistance to imperial authority is discouraged. We have found that some species require firm guidance to reach their potential." Dr. Vasquez's scanner beeped quietly. She glanced at it and her expression tightened almost imperceptibly. Sarah caught the signal. The doctor was detecting stress indicators that suggested deception or uncomfortable truths. "I see," Sarah said carefully. "Could we perhaps visit one of these worlds? We'd be very interested in seeing how your system operates in practice." Emperor Vashitar's scales rippled in what Sarah was learning to recognize as agitation. "That may not be advisable. The subjugated species can be unpredictable when exposed to new influences." "Subjugated?" Sarah's voice remained carefully neutral, but she felt her heart sink. "A poor choice of words. I meant to say administered species," Dr. Vasquez spoke quietly. "Your Majesty, are these species free to leave your empire if they choose?" "Leave? Why would they want to leave? We provide them with order, purpose, protection from external threats." "But could they? Theoretically?" The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. "The galaxy is dangerous, Dr. Vasquez. Many species lack the strength to survive on their own. We provide that strength." Sarah realized they had reached the heart of the matter. The Zephyrian Empire wasn't a voluntary confederation. It was a system of conquest and control, maintained through superior technology and the implied threat of force. "Your Majesty," Sarah said carefully, "in our experience, species that are free to choose their own path often develop remarkable capabilities. Fear can be a powerful short-term motivator, but freedom inspires long-term innovation and growth. You speak from the luxury of overwhelming technological superiority, Captain. When we encountered these species, they were primitive, warlike, destructive. We brought them civilization. Did they ask for civilization? They were not in a position to understand what they needed." Dr. Vasquez set down her scanner. "Your Majesty, with respect, how do you determine what another species needs?" "Through superior understanding, advanced perspective, greater technological capability." Sarah felt a familiar weight settle in her chest. Humanity had heard these justifications before, in their own dark history. The strong taking care of the weak, bringing civilization to the primitive, imposing order on chaos. It never ended well. "Your Majesty," Sarah said, "could we perhaps speak with representatives from some of these administered species? We'd like to understand their perspectives on imperial governance." "That would serve no useful purpose. They lack the context to evaluate their situation objectively." The words hung in the air like a toxin. Sarah realized that the Zephyrian Empire, for all its advanced technology and cultural achievements, was built on a foundation that humanity had moved beyond centuries ago. Your Majesty, I think there may be some fundamental differences in how our civilizations view the relationship between species. Emperor Vashatar leaned forward. Captain, your people clearly possess advanced moral principles along with their advanced technology. But you must understand, the galaxy is not a peaceful place. Sometimes strength must guide weakness for the greater good. And who decides what constitutes the greater good? Those with the wisdom and power to enforce it. Sarah exchanged a glance with Dr. Vasquez. They had encountered this problem before in humanity's exploration of space civilizations whose technological advancement had outpaced their moral development. Your Majesty, we appreciate your honesty, but I must tell you that humanity cannot support systems that deny other species the right to self-determination. Even if that self-determination leads to chaos and suffering, even then, we've learned that the choice to fail is as important as the choice to succeed. Emperor Vashatar was quiet for several minutes. Captain Chen, you offer us technology that could advance our civilization by centuries. But you attach conditions that would undermine the very foundations of our empire. We attach the condition that advancement be shared with all species equally, and that all have the choice to participate or not. You ask us to abandon everything that has made us strong. Sarah stood slowly. Your Majesty, we ask you to discover what could make you stronger than you ever imagined. But that's a choice only you can make. The Emperor rose as well, his massive form towering over the humans. This conversation is not over, Captain Chen, but I need time to consider what you have said. As they were escorted from the chamber, Dr. Vasquez whispered to Sarah, Captain, I don't think they're going to like our humanitarian aid proposal. Sarah nodded grimly. Elena, I'm starting to wonder if we're looking at potential allies or future enemies. 3 days after Captain Chen's departure, Emperor Vashatar stood in his private observatory, staring at the star field beyond Zephyr Prime. The human ship had withdrawn to the system's edge, waiting patiently for the Empire's decision. In those 3 days, the Emperor's world had been turned upside down. Science advisor Tolvan entered quietly, carrying a datapad filled with analysis reports. Your Majesty, the latest evaluations are complete. What do they tell us? That accepting the human proposal would advance our civilization immeasurably. The quantum drive technology alone would revolutionize space travel. Their medical advances could eliminate most diseases and extend lifespans indefinitely. Their energy systems could power our entire empire with a fraction of current resource consumption. And the cost? Complete restructuring of imperial governance, liberation of all subjugated species, transformation from an empire to something else. Emperor Vashtar had ruled for 2 centuries, and his family had controlled the empire for 30 generations. The thought of dismantling that legacy was almost incomprehensible. What about our military advantages? If we release the conquered worlds, what's to prevent them from turning against us? The humans have suggested a gradual transition. Voluntary association, mutual benefit agreements, shared technology development. They claim that former enemies often become the strongest allies when treated as equals. Claims based on what evidence? Their own history, Your Majesty. According to their records, they went through a similar transformation several centuries ago. They evolved from competing nation-states to a unified world government based on cooperation rather than domination. The Emperor turned from the window, and now they want us to follow the same path. Yes, sire, but there's something else. Tollivan's scales shifted to a pale blue, indicating nervous excitement. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from their ship. Your Majesty, I believe they have faster-than-light communication technology. What does that mean? It means Captain Chen has been in constant contact with her homeworld. Every conversation, every piece of data shared, every cultural observation, all of it has been transmitted back to Earth in real time. Emperor Vashatar felt a chill of realization. They've been studying us. Yes, but not in the way we might study an enemy. More like scientists studying a new species they hope to understand and help. Help or judge. Based on their behavior patterns, I believe help is accurate. But Your Majesty, there's an implication we must consider. What? If they have real-time communication across interstellar distances, then Earth already knows everything about our empire. Our military capabilities, our social structure, our treatment of conquered species, everything. The Emperor sat heavily on his throne. And yet they still offer us partnership rather than demanding surrender. Yes, sire. The communication console chimed, and Admiral Kethavar's image appeared. Your Majesty, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. Captain Chen requests permission to return to the surface. For what purpose? She says she has a proposal that might resolve our concerns. Emperor Vashatar looked at his science advisor, who nodded encouragingly. Very well. Escort her to the palace with full honors. 2 hours later, Captain Chen stood once again in the Imperial chamber, but this time she wasn't alone. With her came a being the Emperor didn't immediately recognize. Tall, graceful, with silver skin and large expressive eyes. Your Majesty, Captain Chen began, I'd like you to meet Ambassador Zelani of the Andromedan Collective. The silver-skinned being stepped forward with fluid grace. Emperor Vashatar, it's an honor to meet the leader of the Zephyrian Empire. I don't understand. The Andromedan Collective? We have no record of such a civilization. Captain Chen smiled. Ambassador Zelani's people encountered humanity about 50 years ago. Their situation was remarkably similar to yours. In what way? Ambassador Zelani spoke with a voice like crystal bells. My people had built a confederation based on the willing submission of less advanced species. We believed we were bringing order to chaos, civilization to primitiveness. When the humans arrived, they challenged every assumption we had about governance and species relations. And we chose to transform our society, to release our subject species and offer them true partnership. The results have exceeded our greatest expectations. Emperor Vashatar's 4 eyes fixed on the ambassador. Your subject species didn't rebel? Didn't seek revenge? Some were angry at first, yes. But when we proved through actions that we truly meant to change, most chose to remain associated with us. Those who left did so peacefully, and several have since chosen to return as equals rather than subjects. And your civilization? Did it collapse without the resources and labor of your subjects? Quite the opposite. When species contribute voluntarily rather than under compulsion, their contributions are far more valuable. Innovation flourished when beings were free to pursue their own interests. Our collective technological advancement accelerated beyond anything we had achieved through dominance. Captain Chen added, the Andromedan Collective is now one of humanity's closest allies. Their transformation from empire to confederation has made them stronger, not weaker. Emperor Vashtar looked between the two beings. You're asking me to take an enormous leap of faith. We're asking you to consider the possibility that strength comes from cooperation rather than domination, Ambassador Zelani replied. Your people have achieved remarkable things. But imagine what they could accomplish if 47 different species were working together as equals, rather than as rulers and subjects. Science Advisor Tolvan stepped forward hesitantly. Your Majesty, there is precedent in our own history. The early Zephyrian tribal confederations were voluntary associations. They were among our most innovative and prosperous periods. Captain Chen nodded. Your Majesty, humanity isn't asking you to abandon your civilization's achievements. We're offering to help you build upon them in ways that benefit everyone. And if we refuse, then we'll respect your decision and withdraw. But the offer will remain open if you change your mind. Emperor Vashatar realized this was the moment that would define not just his reign, but the future of every being in the empire. He thought of the billions of Zephyrians who trusted him to make the right choice, and the billions of other beings whose lives hung in the balance. Captain Chen, Ambassador Zelani, if we chose this path of transformation, would your civilizations assist us? Absolutely, Captain Chen replied immediately. We've helped several civilizations through this transition. It's not easy, but it's possible. And the subject species in our empire? How do we begin to undo centuries of domination? Ambassador Zelani spoke gently. With honesty, patience, and genuine commitment to change. Some will forgive quickly, others will need time to trust. But in our experience, most beings prefer cooperation to conflict when given the choice. Emperor Vashatar stood and walked to his window one final time, looking out at his capital city. 3,000 years of empire stretched behind him, but ahead lay the possibility of something unprecedented. A truly voluntary association of species working together as equals. Science Advisor Tolvan, contact all sector governors. Inform them that we're implementing immediate reforms in the administration of subject worlds. Full rights and privileges for all species, voluntary association policies, and preparation for eventual independence referendums. Your Majesty, we're going to try something new, old friend. We're going to discover what the Zephyrian Empire could become if it chose to be the Zephyrian Confederation instead. Captain Chen smiled. Your Majesty, I think this is the beginning of something wonderful. Emperor Vashitar looked at the human captain and the Andromedan ambassador, representatives of civilizations that had chosen transformation over tradition, cooperation over conquest. Captain Chen, please transmit our acceptance to Earth. The Zephyrian Empire formally requests admission to whatever alliance of civilizations you represent. Your Majesty, Captain Chen said with genuine warmth, welcome to the galactic community.